roaches. We build bunkers, we have siege tanks, we don't die. So if your opponent really goes heavy on the cyclones, then it's definitely something where you've got to play. It's almost identical to playing against those Zergs that are just like, I'm going mass roaches! Except the difference is it has even less longevity. Roaches often will get double upgrades. They'll have Ravages. Cyclones don't get any of that stuff, and Roaches can move, shoot, which means they can attack into a bad position. Cyclones just cannot bust a position. They're so fucking useless, because every time they stop, they move, shoot to like focus a siege tank or do anything, they just lose too much damage output. Whereas Roaches can, you know when they like move forward, shoot, right? And it works well without limiting the damage of the Roaches. And yeah, they take a few brutal volleys, but they can get on top of you. Cyclones can't really do that. So Cyclones are definitely a little bit scarier in the very early stages than Roaches, but they do fall off a bit harder. And that can be really good.
Yeah, I definitely feel like, as well as the Cyclones is the same as my other matchups, like almost identical, the same type of problems where like I don't think I'm getting my third and fourth racks probably quick enough. Just by like looking through this replay and the timings that I was hitting on SCT replay stats real quick, and then also just like how to finish the match too. Like I feel like I can get ahead sometimes, but then I'll just end up losing because I take a bad engagement or I get hit with a drop and I'm just not, I don't have my Marines like spread out on the map properly. So there's definitely those things to work on. Cool. I remember the sensor tower is like half the time, I think, when I get on 3 bases and it's like stable enough that like I'm not getting pressured too much. But I definitely feel like if there's a lot going on, I'll just totally forget.
It's not the worst thing in the world, A lot of people get very stuck in two mindsets in TvT. They're like, well, I keep dying to doom drops. And then you see them build missile turrets and sensor tower rings at like 4 minutes into the game. You're like, well, you're a fucking idiot. Of course your game never finished. Like, you're never going to win a game until half an hour in because you're investing all your money in static defense, right? Like, you can fight for that map control. 25?
Okay.
All right, thanks. You can fight for that map control, right? And then people do the opposite, and they never build any defense at all, and they don't fight for map control, and they're like, I'll just keep attacking, and if any drop slides in, I lose my entire economy to 8 Marines. So ideally, we sit somewhere in the middle, where it's like, yeah, if you're in the good position, you got a good 3 base economy, yeah, we can get sensor towers and turrets and all that stuff, but we're not overly focusing on rushing them. We still want to be fighting for map control, and we would always rather be aggressive in this matchup. And it's kind of the same mindset as recently. Let's get going. Let's get going into this game. Sorry. Go. Good luck. So basically, it's the same mindset as the Protoss players who have been dicking you lately. They've been screwing with us, right? When they get aggressive, they bounce around. Your Liberators are sieging and unsieging. Your Widowmine's trying to get in position. It's kind of the same in TvT with siege tanks, right? Of course, you can't just jump on their army quite as easily as a Protoss can.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing where simply by being on their side of the map, they have to do a fuckload of things to make sure you don't suddenly pick up and doom drop in the main, to make sure you're not suddenly, in their weak spot. So simply by creating a forward position, you kind of create a problem point, which you can then rotate around, whether that means just sliding in a Liberator or a drop on the back of a base, or actually moving most of your army and sieging it forward. And because they're worried about a push on one side, you kind of go to the other side and you get 2 siege tanks in range of their third. Suddenly their third has to lift and they're in a nightmare position. So it's like, it's this very just like, you just kind of create problems for your opponent and make their life harder. And while you do that, you can just be like, okay, and I've got another base and I've got more upgrades. Doop. So it's very much like whenever I'm in good forward position, it's not about, I need to finish the game right now. It's about, cool, I get a bit more freedom to macro really well behind this, to take more bases. And you're not necessarily going for killing blows so much as you're going for, I'm going to just slide some units in to a little drop here, a little pressure here, or I'm going to move my tanks forward and siege up that beautiful edge. So I'm just going to let you do your thing, and I'm going to start writing out a whole host of notes. And we're going to do, I guess, my normal kind of format where you're going to have lots of things to read through, both related to these games and in general afterwards. And you can kind of sit around tomorrow night or later tonight and read through those notes. So for now, just get in your groove, play your build, yeah, just kind of like build on up and show us your game, man. Good luck. All right. Okay, guys. So there's lots of things to talk about. This is such an exciting topic. I really enjoy TvT playing in Cyclones at the moment, but also just TvT in general. Average Dude, thanks so much for the 4-month resub. Much love, friend. Much love. So, guys, I normally don't have the avatars showing in game because I know it's a little bit distracting, but I just could not help it. I'm so excited that we have these new avatars. I'm gonna be playing with them all day. Shame Terrancraft's so busy, says Nice Frax. Yeah, he's actually just too smart though. Thank you, Hunter. We like your play a lot. I like comments like that a lot, Hunter. You make me feel special. So yeah, I was meant to set an alarm just then. 25 minutes, I think Dot said 20, so about 20 minutes now. Okay, I will. So once again, Dot's been cooking bread. I don't know. She's gone bread mad. So what do we do? 8:20? 8:14? Yeah, let's just do 8:15. So I get an alarm set. Okay. He didn't lose his Reaper, did he? He got that home? Yeah. Okay, cool. And then he builds a reactor on the barracks. Okay. That's interesting. He doesn't just swap the starport over straight away. Okay. That's fine. Does delay his Banshee ever so slightly. Okay. Two Reapers. Reactor. Ooh, kill it. Yeah. If he gets that, that's pretty huge.
Our base is under attack.
Oh yeah, two Reapers wreck a Hellion pretty badly, and I think his Cyclone just got the thing in as well.
Add-on complete.
But we are going to see double Cyclone pop out, so is he watching? Yeah. He should just back off now, I think. I don't think he should still be there, to be honest. He's going to go Cloak now. Oh, miss rally. Oh, bad miss micro from Melty. Yeah, bad miss micro. Thing is, there was no threat down here. Your ability as a defensive player to be patient and just like chill out and lift that off is huge. Also, you've always got to focus fire your Cyclone on their Cyclone. So this is massive damage for Melty through some basic yet very common mistakes. Many of us have made these mistakes many times. This is something we can all relate to, right? Just running your Cyclone in and shooting like a random Reaper or Hellion instead of the Cyclone. And you're like, wow, I got wrecked in this fight this game. What happened? You're like, oh, I clicked on his Cyclone. I'm a dummy. Happens all the time. Okay, so,
Oh, that's supply bar. Brutal.
yeah, I mean, this is TvT in a nutshell. You do a ton of damage. Usually you pay the supply depot tax. You're still ahead. You're still in a very good position. It's going very well for you. Keep it up, man. It's like the one really annoying thing here, guys, of course, is that his starport didn't really start the Cloak and the Banshee. His Banshee's just started. You want to build two Banshees, and then it kind of times out usually, so you can be like, oh cool, a barracks either builds on the tech lab or floats onto it, and you can start your tech lab. Well, not your tech lab, your stim pack. So obviously that helps out a lot.
CC's upgraded.
Singularity says, can you disable the avatars while in game? Like I was saying just before, you must have just tuned in. I don't know. That this is like, I just got new avatars and I'm excited about it, so I'm keeping them on for this one coaching session. And it's a one-off because literally I just got them and I'm excited about them. Yeah. I don't know. Obviously, if everyone can have a little vote in chat, just say avatar yes or avatar no in chat if you want to vote. You guys can decide. Obviously, it comes down to what the viewers want as a collective. I like them. Oh, what are we doing out here? Super random having his siege tanks all the way out there, and he's building a wall off as well. So let's start writing some notes, guys. Let's start writing some notes. Okay, so game one. Bit over aggressive. Focus more on correct starport, depot timing, etc. You won't always find this much damage with your early Reaper Cyclone. Better to be a bit more conservative, plus consistent. So not only that, what else could he have done here? Well, very simple. About 6 minutes, tanks out in the open for no reason. Should have been in a more defensible position. Okay, so he's got 3 barracks. He's gone single engineering bay. He's adding the armory in the second eBay. Does want to be adding 2 barracks in the near future. He's got 2 depots building at a time. Oh yeah, I forgot to write down. Walling off in TvT. Not needed. Not necessary. It's actually bad to wall off in TvT because you've both got the same ranged army. So the only time a wall off helps is against mech when they're doing lots of Hellion run-bys. That's about the only time a wall helps you. Otherwise, it just provides a nice way to get supply capped in a base trade. Whereas if you've got all your depots in the back of your main, often you hold in a base trade because you've got both your tech lab factories in the main, and they can't break your ramp because you get a strong point of siege tanks here. Keep your depots and your production alive, which means you can bounce back even in a kind of messy base tradey sort of situation. Now his macro is on point right now. His macro is looking great. He still doesn't really have many spotting units out on the map in the middle. So like it's like, okay, this is great. That's nice. This is good. But why don't we have anything here, you know? Personally, I would also have Marines. Like this Marine here is nice, but I would have a Marine there and a Marine right on the edge instead. Because as it is, a drop could go right around either side of this Marine. So it kind of, in my eyes, gives the illusion of safety rather than actual safety. These Marines he still didn't notice going across the map. Yeah, he has traditionally had some issues keeping his eye on the minimap. It's interesting. I think he clicked on the command center. That's interesting. Oof. Oh, don't click on the orbital. You're never gonna get that in a single. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, he's got 5 barracks, so he should be going up to another factory. And gas is on the 3rd. Yeah. I mean, gas is on the 3rd, then the factory is usually the way to do it. Wait, did he get 2? Yeah, 2 more reactors, that's correct. Terrible depot placement. This is where extra factories and barracks should go. Yeah, okay. 3rd base gases.
Mineral field depleted.
Then 2nd factory.
Upgrade complete. We're running.
Ready for dust off.
More spotting units, especially in the middle of the map. You'll see on my stream, there's Marines fighting to kill his Marine spotters. Then later, 4 to 5 Marines. And then sometimes whole drops, all competing for that. Alright, really good fight for him. I think he just wins the game. Come on, what are we focusing on right now?
Upgrade complete.
This is nice and all, but yeah, where's that production? And why are we trying to break his natural? If he doesn't have a 3rd, how can we secure that lead even further? Fall back and keep your production up. Now, you never added a 2nd factory, and you didn't put gases on your 3rd. Or take a 4th. Yeah. So this is how you keep your advantage. Rather than trying to press in for the kill there, if you just maintained your position, that would have been, you know, really nice. But take this time to kind of go on gases, 2nd factory. 2nd factories should always be in the main, by the way. Very good for base trade scenarios. And get that 4th. You can even get a 5th down. But most importantly, keep queuing up crazy amounts of Marines, crazy amounts of units at this stage, and just keep that machine rolling. And just regroup and go for another push. There's no need to kind of do more damage here because you've already got more economy. So if you can just regroup, and remember, you're very addicted to rallying your units across the map a lot of the time. Try to get rid of that. Try to kind of regroup and get everything together for one more push. Thank you so much, guys, for the support. Let's go see. Avatar, yes. There's a few no's. Avatar, no. Avatar, no. Just the one. All right, so we're gonna leave them there just for now. Yeah, it's just a one-off singularity. Yeah, just a one-off. I normally always am super elitist as well, where I'm like, fuck this stupid gimmick games, man, with the avatars. It's much more important to actually have the gameplay, you know, be front and foremost, right? That's always so important for me. So yeah. So it's okay. So this is cute and all, but like let's stop staring at that. All right, you've regrouped a big army. Let's come on, get your army together and go for that big frontal push. So, you can squeeze a drop around the back or something, but you should feel like your numbers are so superior, right? Where mathematically in this scenario, you're like, well, I made him lift his third before, I made him move it, and then we traded armies at the front while I was fully mining. You should feel ahead right now. So you should be very confident making this sort of move going. Maybe you boost your reinforcements into his main, whatever the hell you want really, but just be very calm, scan ahead of your army and be methodical about closing this game out now that you've given yourself a few minutes to focus on your macro, right? Which means you know you're actually using your advantage because you've spent all that money really well. So now you've got that confidence to focus on your army again. It's that rhythm of focusing on your macro, focusing on your micro, kind of alternating those two. So, did he ever get the extra barracks up? He's only just got his 6th barracks up now. So, should have gone for 2 or preferably even 3 more barracks there. Would have been really nice. Now, he should be paying attention.
Your base, you know.
Yes, let's see. Got a lot of reinforcements, so let's see how he does. Should be totally fine here.
Somebody, get me out of this mess.
Better be good.
Add on some
Yeah, okay, so... So let's remember you're the Protoss player and you're meant to rotate and do that stuff rather than trying to batter your way through those siege tanks. So just focus on the defense for now, push that back and use your reinforce to push forward. Those tanks on the right hand side, you either rotate them or you just leave them there creating a problem, but there's no reason to kind of force them in. So remember, all you need to do is keep rotating, keep spending your money, take another 2 bases, build more depots, you know, like if you just keep doing this stuff, like the win is inevitable, right? Every time you're in these forward positions, remember he has so much more to do than you. So psychologically you should know, oh, he's further behind. It's like do a bit of damage and then fall back and regroup and kind of rotate and look for more stuff. But right now your army's not really together. So, you know, you've got to reestablish your map control and get in control.
Somebody,
We're
get
running
me
out of
this
minerals.
mess.
I'm in deep. Ready to roll out.
That field's been mined out. Geyser's empty.
Alright, GG. Very well played, dude. So this was awesome because we did get to see a little bit
Of that late game problem I have.
yeah, where you're kind of like, how do I finish this off? And it's like, well, you're winning. You just need to take a breather, like unsiege those tanks, rotate them back around to the left-hand side of the map. As long as you keep denying their expansions, that's fine. The moment you force them to all siege up in a location and they're there, you just ignore it. You're like, well, this is not where I attack. The same thing when you siege up those Liberators against Protoss, and you're like, please attack into these. And when the Protoss doesn't do it and they just rotate around, you're like, well, I'm just fucked. Like, there's just nothing I can do. So remember, your opponent, the moment they're on the defensive in TvT, is in that mindset you're in TvP, where all they want is you to attack into that defensive position, and if you don't do it and you keep rotating around, it drains so much of their APM. As long as you're still expanding and everything behind it, it's like, it's amazing, right? So you got rid of his third there. You killed it, or you forced it to lift or whatever. That's cool. Okay, let's go check he doesn't have a third on the other side. So it's not necessarily about getting in and finishing it off. It's just like he has to kind of come out and fight for those bases, and he's going to take bad trades each time. And you were in an amazing position there. So rather than being, it's great that whenever you're in these aggressive positions, you're splitting off these drops, but you are putting a little bit too much focus in them, both APM wise and strategically with like what you're thinking they're achieving, right? You got to remember at that stage, you got so much money, and you'll see me do this all the time. When I'm in that forward position, pick up the drop, and I just queue it to go drop in the back of the natural. You were doing the same thing, but you were then kind of actively microing it, and then you'd like pick up another 8 Marines and go join it, pick up another 8 Marines and go do it again. And it was like, well, okay, this same move isn't going to work over and over again. This is something
Right.
you mix in amidst your main army rotating around, which is the key problem, right? So that drop is the Warp Prism. If the Protoss keep sending that Warp Prism into your main, after the first time, it's really not that effective, right? Because you have 8 Marines with stim there, or you're very mentally prepared for it. So we're really, in TvT, I like this way of thinking about it, where we try to imagine we're the Protoss player. Because it's just such a great way to understand exactly how strong being aggressive is. Being defensive in TvT is so hard. And it's why I always have so much admiration when I watch Innovation or TY, and they do this like, I'm just going to shit here. But even then, with them doing these styles, there have been moments where they've struggled. Alive, last year, it's 2017. Yes, 2017. Alive was doing really well. And he was doing these really two-basey plays. Like, he'd always take his third after 3 barracks, like no gaps in unit production. He's just like running around with his tanks and medevacs and dropping and finding angles. And he was going toe-to-toe, and more often than not, he was beating the TYs in the Innovation in TvT for about 6 months because they were playing so defensive. And I was like, well, you guys are clearly better players than Alive. Like, I love Alive. He's a great player, very movement focused. He's not the mastermind level of TY. He's not the mechanical level of Innovation, but he was beating them. And it's because he was like, well, I'm going to take control of the game and I'm just going to keep rotating around and looking for an angle. And he'd always find an angle eventually. And it would be like perfect defense. Everything crumbles and TY falls apart and loses in the space of a minute. And it was like, oh shit. Because like you're watching the game, you're like, well, he's got double upgrades versus single upgrades. He's got 10 more SCVs. He's got that faster third. Power of siege tanks defensively is pretty good. But all it would take is, of course, one drop to get in, and suddenly everything would crumble because TY would have such a late stim, such a late combat shields, such a smaller marine count than Alive. And I think it was really interesting to see one guy who's like, I'm just always going to be aggressive. You guys know I'm going to do this. You're going to try to take the economic advantage, and you know what? It's not going to work a lot of the time. Right. I think this is something I always apply in my games, is I'd much rather be attacking than defending because it's so hard to be in the right position defensively. There's a lot of games I do try to come back in defensively. I'm like, this is the correct decision. Sometimes I do it. Whenever I'm playing someone who's over 6k MMR above me, it's like they just do exactly what we've been talking about here. I was playing a Terran the other day, and I remember I was like, maybe I can come back from this bad opening. I didn't know who the guy was. He was a barcode. I thought he was like 5.3 MMR or something, and I was like, yeah, this is 5.3k. This should be fine. I get back against these guys all the time. Turned out he was like a 6.4k, so it was like Semper or someone, right? It was like one of the best Terrans in NA. And I was like, okay, let's just fight for map vision was my first thing, to make sure my units are in the right position. So I'm going out with pairs of Marines to clear up his individual Marines. He comes out with 4 Marines. I go out with like little medevac, two separate medevacs and 8 Marines. And he just would not give up map control. Like, he just, every time I intercept some Marines, he like runs them back. Another 10 Marines come join them, and he's like chasing my medevacs off. And I'm like, God damn it. And I actually managed to snap like 2 full medevacs on the map with my Marines. And I was like, sweet. But he just kind of kept map control, and then his army got out there, and he did exactly what we talked about. He sharked around with his army. He wasn't even necessarily sieging up yet. He was just like moving from side to side, and I was like, I gotta be sieged up, because I know I'm down in units. I gotta be sieged up, and I'm like trying to get in position, and I was like holding on, and I'm like, I think I'm getting back in this game, and then his doom drop gets in the main. It just slips in like a tiny moment, and I'm like, well, what can you do? I see his MMR, I look at, oh, he's actually taken a 4th behind all that as well. The great thing was, it felt like he was maybe going all in, because if I'm playing someone at 5.3k MMR, 5.1k MMR, they're like all in on 2 bases, right? They're like, I gotta get in now, I gotta kill this guy. Like, often those guys, if I just defend, I'm like, I should be dead, they should have a 4th. Oh, they were on 2 bases this whole time. They just didn't transition, they didn't add the 3rd. They're like, I need to win right now. And the thing is, you can find openings and win games, and it's a great exercise to play 2 base or die trying in TvT, because it gets you really good with finding the holes, especially for the very decisive doom drop style attacks, or the jump on top of the army at the right moment when they're unsieged. But here, you're doing a really good job of getting forward with these pushes. We've just got to remember to kind of like just rotate to a different angle. Like, once you've created the problem, that's amazing. Cool, we've killed the base, like get it out of there, move around to a different side. So overall, what can we talk about here? Number one, we want you to be just a little bit less focused on those drops once you're in the advantageous position, the forward position. The drops are like a bonus point. Just slide one in once in a while. That's great. But let's focus more on rotating your army. And if because you're not comfortable with that, that takes all your APM and you stop dropping as a result, that's totally cool. The main army movement's the key one, okay?
Right.
Other than that, I like the opening there. What can we do? Let's. Ooh, you know what? I killed his first Reaper. Ooh, this makes me feel excited and good. Let's take a deep breath and let's prioritize starting your Banshee and your Depot behind it. And even if that means you missing out on one of those extra Cyclone kills because you did a ton of damage and it was great, and that's a shame, but it's going to be more consistent for you, right? So let's just try and make sure we hit that Depot around 34, 35 supply, whenever that goes down, obviously the 39 supply cap, and get that Banshee started. And that would be amazing. I'm going to give some quick advice to Melty. GG, well played. That was great, dude. All right. I was basically just telling him it's not really secret advice. I'm just like, dude, bit of unlucky micro at the start there. Did fall behind. Make sure you click your Cyclones on his Cyclones and don't feel so eager to defend your natural. He could have just lifted his natural, but he kept kind of sending his Cyclones down one at a time. And he's like, he wasn't really timing it out properly. So he wasn't repairing his Cyclone quickly enough, or he was trying to do that. And the Cyclone was shooting a Reaper, which is really bad. If he clicked on your Cyclones in each of those fights, you know, he would have defended a lot quicker and it would have been a bit of a smoother game for him. But anyway, here we go. One more time. We are playing the same map. It's a smaller map. It's a simpler map. We're really keeping things very basic for now because the movement is very pronounced here on Catalyst with the different attack paths. It's not such a big map, so we kind of get a more consolidated position. So once again, focus on your build. Just remember to pull your units back and squeeze in that depot and that starport production just a little bit earlier. Otherwise, do exactly what you did that game and really focus on those rotations of your frontal pushes in the mid to late game.
I think that's the biggest problem I have is to not rotating my army. I get like, I try to brute force my way through it, like bashing my head against the wall. I don't know why I do it.
We all do it. You're like, I think I'm ahead. I think I can do this. It's like the special TvT rule is like, I'm ahead. I think I can rotate my army and be more of a dick somewhere else. Siege techs are the great equalizer, my man.
All
right. Good luck, dude. All right, guys. I gotta take this bread out. Thank you so much for the subs, dudes. Holy shit. We have EU Chaos ninjued before. Thank you so much, Mr. X Hatan and Ringa Choco with the 3-month sub. Thank you, guys. You can't hear me, can you? Triple? No. All right, guys.
SCV ready.
CC's upgraded.
The Grim Reaper has arrived. SCV ready. SCV ready. We're through.
Round's finished.
Morning coffee just flooded out of me as well, so I had to just take a very quick bathroom break. Luckily, it looks like I didn't. No, he's doing game-winning damage, eh? Oh, it's such a nightmare losing that reactor. I would have pulled SCVs to repair here, but yeah, would have probably lost like 3 SCVs. Second, so you see the other cyclone's like almost ready anyway, so yeah, that's good, that's good. So did he pull back and remember his depot, guys? He did. You don't need a wall off, so don't build any more depots there. Remember, back corner of the main, all in a tight grid. Last game, we both built a wall, and then we also blocked some nice... Yeah.
But I probably do it a lot, actually.
And that's, it's okay. This time you've been a lot cleaner with everything else. So yeah, you're doing really good, dude. That command center is almost done, so... Banshee's gonna hit it at much better timing. You've got some repair. Yeah, this is really good. Reaper's mean. He should win this fight pretty handily. So one of the good things here is Reapers can actually chase down Cyclones, and you can see he's trying to do that. Oh, what you do is you run in line with them, you drop a grenade. If you can bounce them back towards yourself there, if they're not good on their micro, you can catch them both. It's pretty advanced micro though, so it's not like I'm like, oh, I can't believe he missed that. Okay, so dealing with Cyclones. So one of the best ways to deal with Cyclones, right, is bunker plus siege tanks. If they mass them, just, you know, turtle at that natural. You'll be fine. And basically, once stim and shields finishes and... multiple. Oh god, run. Oh, the Cyclones are out of position. Bad scan from Melty. Bad scan. But anyway, once Stim and Shields finishes and multiple tanks, suddenly Cyclones suck. Oh yeah, this is really good. He's just gonna chill there. He goes back to macro. Good, this is what I like. A lot of people be like, oh, I'm gonna keep micro, you're gonna kill one more SCV or something. It's like, no, just fucking, who cares if it dies right now? Like, right now, what's more important? Spending his money. And it's this back and forth, which has always been the big, I think, trouble for you, Triple. It's funny because when we started coaching so long ago, his problem was he would over-focus on his harassment and his drops and his individual unit micro, and he'd do them all really well. But he would both suck at his big army engagements and he would have some big macro issues. And I think we've totally fixed his macro issues for now in general. He's like, yeah, he still gets carried away with the drop sometimes, but like most of the time, his macro is on point. It's like very, very just solid, like consistent, just non-stop macro, you know? I don't really like the depots still. This is like a bad habit, but you know, it's not like the worst thing, right? He's gonna lose that. That's okay. It's like, what the hell? You got another turret there? But anyway, nice hold position on this Banshee. It's gonna get a few SCVs, and the thing is, they might even go back up there. He's gonna even try to hide it. Yeah. Okay, cool. I mean, the Banshees have done their job.
Mineral field depleted.
Should be getting the second eBay in the armory now. He does go look at the Banshee, but yeah, he's not focusing on it too much, which is the sexy thing.
That field's been
Do you go gas first for the 2 Reaper Hellions, says Demand? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, dude. By the way, guys, if there's any Terrans who need help in TvZ, I do have a new build-up on Spawning Tool. Linked in chat there. It's from that Gameverse Neuro from last week. Basically, yeah, TvZ, just held that Cyclone into Thor drop, builds up on Spawning Tool. So I realized I never actually put my mech build onto Spawning Tool because I was like, well, I was new to mech for a long time. Now I actually feel like I'm pretty comfortable in that matchup. It's one of my highest Terran win rates. Probably my highest Terran win rate is actually TvZ now, which is unheard of for me for a long time. It was my lowest. And yeah. Oh, he just saw a tank siege up. Oh, this is a ballsy push, man. That is a ballsy push. He's gonna get the siege tank at least, but we'll lose 7 Marines for it. Oh man, I would so have queued that. Yeah, I was gonna say I so would have queued up that Marine to drop there just to be annoying because that's like so frustrating. And he's gonna get like 3 kills, maybe more. Oh, he's not shooting the red hit point one. Revenge of the Drill Boys. Nice.
Add-ons finished.
So anyway, he's in a good position. Like, he's in control of this game and everything, right? And the thing is, like, we still see heavy cyclone from Melty. Melty is actually playing mech this game.
Ready for dust off.
Fueled up, ready to go.
CC's
Did he
upgraded.
get his extra barracks up?
Your add-on.
He did. This should be a tech lab, though. But he only got up to 4 barracks. And so you're doing really good. You're actually only on 4 barracks, and you do want more tech labs in this scenario since it's mech. We see a mass cyclone push coming, so good luck. If you've got to abandon your base, that's no worries. Just lift it and run it away. It's like these siege tanks moving forward there was pretty terrible. SCVs should also be attack moved right now. And these siege tanks? Yeah. Ooh, good pullback by Melty. Now he gets all the SCVs. So that's like a pretty sexy push. Melty doesn't need to do anything more here. He should just back off now. Oh, just rally again.
Dust off.
Research complete.
Yeah, there we go. So now he can... Oh, get on siege your tanks and cyclones and move those if you want to get through. Oh, that's friendly.
I'm in deep.
Oh, he was counterattacking. Okay, well that works, doesn't it? So he really needs to focus on his third. I was about to say, like, okay, let's focus on that macro and stuff, but... Oh, he's dropping a 4th. Okay, I'm okay with this 4th, just because it's such a messy position. Obviously, you don't need a 4th base right now, but sometimes in a messy position, you take a bunch of eco damage, you say, look, I don't think they can do a finishing move, because we've just traded armies. I still got some army, but I don't know how to do a finishing blow to kind of counteract him, so I'm just going to drop a 4th and kind of try to play it out and stuff, and that can make a nice difference there, so... This is always a little bit different playing against mech. There's no upgrades for Melty, which is super weird, because Melty's got a 4 base setup and a 5th on the way. I kind of want to tell Melty, like, make some upgrades, but like right now Melty's problem is the fact that he's just built 1 billion command centers. Yeah. I think Melty's dead, man. I think U-Triple's got him. I think he's got him.
Somebody, get me out of this mess.
Versus mech, we want 2 to 3 tech labs
Back home.
on our first 5 racks. We forgot our 5th racks this game.
Running out of
Still work on map control. That's just something in all of his games. He can work on his map control just by having more marine spotters out. I don't really want to harp on about it because I think the immediate one is, yeah, like rotating the army around and stuff and trying to find avenues. And even though this is such an easy scenario, there's like no enemy army right now. I mean, I kind of like that he's like, okay, let's go take some time to spend my money. Okay, we're going to rotate the army around. It's like, it's the right thing. It's a low pressure situation, so it's not like it's worthy of me being like, oh my god, it was such a high pressure situation and you managed to rotate. It's like, no, your opponent actually has nothing. But even then, it's still worth something. If someone remembers to do a sort of maneuver that they're struggling with. Oh wow, nice siege tank position. Working out very well. Didn't think that would work versus mech, but Melty kind of got baited in trying to defend his last expose. GG. Very well played, my dude. Okay, so what are your thoughts on that game there?
I got a supply block, a good amount. So definitely need to clean that up. Yeah, almost 2 minutes. That's pretty bad. Yeah, I just feel like if he was doing any more counter pressures, like when I would just fall apart. Because I don't think I'm getting my Marines in the proper positions for knowing exactly when he was coming. Or I didn't see it on a mini map. I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. It doesn't feel like that was like super good or anything.
No worries.
I feel like he was a little bit greedy too with that. He had such a fast third. And then a 4th too, right?
Other than that, it was a good game, but forgot upgrades and expanded too fast. Yeah, he actually didn't get upgrades at all on his mech.
Okay.
So he went for this like kind of odd mass cyclone, kind of almost all in push. And the thing is, he did a good amount of damage. Like the
Yeah, definitely had
cyclone-
to sack a lot of SUVs right there.
Yeah, it was weird because it was like semi all in, but you had a third. If double armory and more tank production went down behind the cyclone push, this would have been okay.
I'd have been in a lot of trouble then.
Yeah. The problem was I don't think there was like it was like I'm pushing out with my cyclones. By the way, here's a 4th and a 5th CC. So if instead there was armories going down, more focus on the gases on the 3rd getting up for Melty, and then yeah, like 3 factories should be going down. I know he's a little bit starved for gas, but so the problem there as well is he was kind of still building cyclones even as he was pushing out, and that's yeah, like you kind of cut cyclone production. Because these new cyclones, like we're past the cyclone stage. This push was his last chance to get value out of the cyclones, and they found value, which was awesome. They put him in a good spot, but yeah, he should have just been building Hellions out of his reacted factories and siege tanks, and then obviously trying to squeeze out a starport, or just being very missile turret oriented for the mid game to spot drops, whichever way. And I think he would have been in a very decent position, but yeah, he kind of had a bit of an unclear idea. Do you play bio more or mech more? I'm gonna ask him. That's interesting. So that I just wanted to kind of get a handle on what went on there. So yeah, otherwise, I mean, it was good that you did kind of focus on your production a little bit more this time. So there is one key moment, right, where you pushed forward. Now, cool little tip, okay? 3-minute 35, 3-minute 40 in that game. Now, I've got the replay open. I just rewound, right? But I don't need you to find it.
All right.
You killed
I'm
his
watching.
reactor. You remember that?
Yeah.
I would have been very paranoid doing this maneuver because you know cyclones could pop out, right? And if 2 cyclones pop out just before that reactor goes down, which they very nearly did, you need to run immediately, and you'll probably still lose your cyclone, especially if he pops them on the front, right? And the thing is, did you lose both reapers? I don't think so. I think you ran away. But what? Yeah, you were actually microing forward after you killed it. And then you even like clicked on the factory or something. And actually, no, the cyclone did escape. Wow, it did, yeah. So what I would have done there is just shift clicked. I would have said
Okay.
shift click on the reactor and then right click home, all the way home. I would have said kill the reactor and just run. And that just would have been a nice way to free up my APM. Because you were never going to get more damage than that. And it was already dicey as all hell going for the reactor. But it was worth it because you'd killed his early Reaper so fast in Marine. Like, you just kind of got that edge and were like, oh, I'm here so fucking early. Okay, let's do it. You know, let's go. So I was down with it. But just keep that in mind. Cool
A little
move
bit
is
too
to
much
just be like,
funnel still.
yeah, just be like, shift click this home. You're like, if I get this reactor, then hells yeah, let's go focus on me macro, which you did a pretty good job of. That wall off at the natural, something which we really need to like cleanse your system of in this matchup. Otherwise, yeah, I think it was pretty decent. I think it was pretty decent for sure. So your rotations were nicer because he wasn't really in control of the game as much.
It didn't really matter, right?
It was like an easy situation for you to apply that theory. So it did matter. It did. It was still good. It just like wasn't as hard for you to do as I'm like, I
Right.
wanted it to be harder. I want you to be under more pressure. Like, whoa, I'm in more of an even game.
Yeah. Definitely.
All right, I've given in some instructions. I'm gonna host up a map here real quick.
All right.
I think we can squeeze one more in. Yeah, last game. Okay, cool. Blackpink, okay?
Sure.
All right. Still one of the more straightforward maps, and definitely another map I think where the rotating is relatively simple. Like, it's like, yep, you can create threat here, or you can rotate, create threat there. You know, it's kind of nice. Awesome. Okay, let's do it. Okay, so lots of little things. What are the main things we want to focus on? Just continue to try and get the habit of making sure you remember that depot and the Banshee, which you did a great job of last game. So let's do that again. Really just reinforce that, like, let's not overcommit to the aggression at the start. Other than that, let's not build the depots on the natural. Let's make sure we build those in the main and just keep doing what you're doing. Build up. Once we get to the mid to late game, let's really work on those rotations. Good luck, have fun, man. Okay, guys, so you see a big thing, what we're focusing on here today. For anyone who's just tuned in, is U-Triple in our first game got way ahead and then started trying to bash his way through siege tanks and started throwing units away very inefficiently while focusing on drops, repeatedly dropping the same spot over and over to the point where his opponent was defending it. And the thing is, all he needed to do was unsiege his army. Let's imagine... So this is his opponent. Let's imagine his opponent's here, like 7 siege tanks, and he was just trying to like stim into them and like move his siege tanks forward and siege on them and stuff. And he was picking up a drop and trying to drop in the mineral line behind those siege tanks as well. And he just kept doing that move over and over. So what we're trying to refocus him on here is what you're actually meant to do in TvT is not break the siege tanks. You don't, yes, there's times where you can do it, but it's very situational, it's very experience based. That's not what we want to focus on. It's a fundamental rule of TvT. You get ahead, you create a problem here. Cool, you can split off a drop there once. Don't keep dropping the same spot over and over then. What do? Okay, he's got all his siege tanks here. You unsiege and you move. You move down here and you try to siege in here. Or if maybe he's got a base down there. Maybe you come down here, break these rocks. If you get siege tanks here, you're in range of this fourth. Suddenly, it's another huge problem. He's got to come down. He's trying to push you back with his siege tanks. He's bleeding into your siege tank fire. That's great. What does this do? Is this killing your opponent? No. It's making them take bad fights. It's limiting their expansion. It's draining their APM. And what are you doing? You're comfortable because you're sieged forward. You're taking a 5th. You're taking a 6th. You're building your 3rd factory, your fucking 12th barracks. Or, you know, maybe you're being very advanced and going for a starport transition. You're going into, you know, oh, I've got my 4th base gas up here. I'm going to go for a 2nd and 3rd starport. I'm going to go for range liberators. And that sort of stuff. Let me fix this. Static should now be fixed. Thank you for the heads up there, Zen to Beyond. So basically the idea is finding ways to pressure your opponent into being in a fucked position, and remembering that it's very hard from the defensive guy's point of view to move his siege tanks around, to know where your army is moving. He's going to be scanning non-stop. He's barely trying to defend his bases. And that allows you to just, oh, you know what? He brings his tanks down here to defend that siege up I was talking about. Guess what? You pick up 2 medevacs, drop them in the main, you know? Or you pick up your whole army and drop them in the main for a finishing blow. But the thing is, you don't have the pressure on you to do a finishing blow. And too many players, when they're ahead of TvT, they feel... Oh.
SCV ready.
Systems go. Cyclone ready for action.
Testing, 1, 2, 3.
SCV ready.
Testing, 1, 2, 3. I think there was just a little bit of delay. You guys were saying fixed before I even fixed it. Oh, so I just fixed it a 2nd time. Okay, that was just you guys who've been watching the stream for a while and have a bit of delay. Oh my god, he's trying to do some fancy micro. What the fuck is that Reaper? Oh my god, you psychopath Reaper. You absolute fucking psychopath. You Drongo, get out of there. Oh my god. Anyway, much better start for Melty this game. So yeah, so that's really good. So we're starting off now without that big lead we've had up to now. No static. Yeah, no popping. Good. Thanks, guys. You don't know what a Drongo is? Runs fast? Oh, this is a sick little maneuver here, guys. Oh, very sexy. Oh my god. That was wholesome, stiffy inspiring. That was beautiful. Gene Parmesan, thank you very much for the 5-month resub. Much love, my man. Much love. Thank you, guys. Appreciate the support. So, yeah. Okay. So not as powerful a start this game. Like killing the Cyclone and the Hellion, it's not that big a deal. It's good, but it's nowhere near as good as those previous games were. And now Melty's going for Bio, which he's more experienced with. His mech play looked like a Bio player trying to play mech for one of their first times. in that last game, where it's like, oh yeah, he's doing like some really good things, but then there's like, he clearly hasn't like thought it through or understood like what units are for what situations and like exactly when he should expand and when he should add upgrades. Like, it's like, wow, he did this really well, he did this really well, and these two things make no sense, you know? So Melty clearly, I think, is the better as a bio player, at least more experienced. This Banshee's going to do a nice little job here. Oh, actually stayed in range of the missile turret.
What's going on?
Should have held position there.
Oh,
Piece of me, boy.
that's weird.
That's alright, you just barely in missile turret range there, but no worries.
Oh, I had like a mouse glitch. I don't know.
Oh, no
I
worries.
think I was
dude.
like, I had like the map selected. I was just like drag scrolling. Weird.
Oh, yep, I've done that before. Yeah, we've all had that one in a high tense situation.
Like, what's going on? Can't control it.
Let's keep focused on that macro. You're doing really good. Keep it up, man.
Fueled up, ready to go.
Don't forget that third CC. Yeah, he normally kind of just grabs the double gas, then the third CC. I normally like try to tell people to do it the other way around, but this clearly just kind of works out for him, so I'm actually okay with it. Don't forget that Banshee as well. Good stuff. Keep it up. I distracted him a little bit by talking, and he immediately decided to have a little conversation there, which I strongly try to disencourage people from doing. I'm like, no, don't talk to me, just listen. Because I want all their focus on the game, you know? But that's really good. This is really good. Now, there's a little Cyclone Marine pressure coming. I don't think this is a good push from Melty. I don't think it's going to achieve anything at all. U-triple siege tank positions are really funny. They're super, like, exposed against, like, a mass Cyclone push. But I feel like he normally should catch wind of that. Like, his Banshees will keep lots of Cyclones at home, as well as early Reaper Cyclone. Because the Cyclones can just run up and they'll be like, oh, tanks are so exposed. The reason this is good, though, is, like, against those siege tank Viking pushes, you're already sieged so far forward. They've got to siege, like, back here and stuff, and then slowly push their way forward. So I do really like that. Funnily enough, though, because he doesn't have vision, if the opponent decided to siege, like, there and there with two siege tanks and have a spotter unit, they would have been able to, like, edge him out, but... Excuse me, but yeah, it's not going to happen this time, so it's fine. 8 Marine drop going across. This Cyclone being a little bit of a rando. Oh, he's moving to the Watchtower. Okay, not a bad choice. He's going to float down to the third before making the orbital. I always prefer to make the orbital first, but it's not the end of the world, whichever way you do it. His barracks and everything aren't perfectly lined up, but yeah. He's going 4 barracks again. It triggers me.
Research finished.
Doing well, don't forget that 5th barracks.
Not started? Nope. Rip.
Yeah, he has this like weird 4 barracks habit. It's super strange.
You want a piece of me, boy?
So where did that full medevac go? Oh, there it is.
Our base is under
Alright, so putting this back on his camera. Let's see. So what are the key homework points we should write here, guys?
Add-ons finished.
SCV ready. We could use some help here.
Homework.
CC's upgraded.
Watch replays where you die to heavy cyclone pushes. In these scenarios, oh, this is great for him. Viking kills are very valuable. In these scenarios,
Almost done.
build a bunker and siege your tanks further back. What else should he
Running out of
do?
minerals back home.
Somebody, get me out of this mess.
Watch replays for over focus on micro and getting supply blocked / miss macroing during pressure stages. Very aggressive siege up here, but I'm totally okay with it. It's a risky maneuver. Big problem he had there was not spending his money during it once again though, so I'm gonna write that one down. Not as powerful a start this game because Melty was safer. So we did an 8-minute 40, 8-minute 30 YOLO siege tank marine push. I like it because it was so opportunistic. Diving in whilst the army was in the main dealing with the drop.
Add-ons
I
finished.
would have liked it a lot more
Ready for
if
dust
you
off.
just sieged up the third, so he had to attack down his natural choke into your units. Also, if you spent your money better behind it, That would have been sexy. Now, this maneuver here, this double drop, I really hope it's like a flank, but it's not. It's a counter attack. Okay, which can work. It can work, but it can also be really bad. So I'm like, I really would have liked him to just like get those Marines, spread them, and then try to like bust this. The thing is, he hasn't even scanned what he's up against, so there we go. Good. I'm like, you should really at least be scanning to see what the fuck you're facing off against. More depots, more Marines,
Add-ons done.
non-stop production and keeping up your supplies are one of the most important things in these scenarios. Yeah. Good stuff. Ooh, not a big fan of that move. It's not the worst. He'll get a few Vikings. He'll get 3 Vikings. Yeah, that's okay. That's like as much as he could have hoped for. Oh, good focus fire in the medevac as well. He should be macroing right now. Yeah, let's get that map control back. Marines to all the watchtowers. Keep producing. You're doing a great job. He does have a second factory up as well. So important, guys. The number of TvT games that go into a base trade is really high because of the mobility of the armies, and especially when you aren't that good at maintaining map control, which most players suck at. It just helps you out so much to do that. Now, in this scenario, you might be like, oh, we're going to Sensitarium, I'm safe, but you actually should have turrets up here in it as well. Or if you're going for this base, you actually just build some turrets like here, like bam, 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 or something. This side here, turret as well. So this was a bit of a psychopath move. It's working out for him. I'm not sure if he scanned ahead of that army or not. I was about to say queue up units, keep queuing up units. And he did it just when I was about to unmute. I always like to give players a second or two to start doing things on their own. Ultimately, you want your inside pig voice to say that. Like, you don't want to actually have me be like, don't forget to do this. Instead, you want my voice that I've programmed into the back of your brain being like, remember to bounce back and forwards. You've been microing for the last 30 seconds. What should you be doing? You probably shouldn't waste your APM microing a single siege tank. You should be spending your money instead. And when people hear that weird fucking creepy voice in their head, it makes me very happy. Now that was a really YOLO maneuver. Okay, so we're getting a little bit excited here. Just remember, if you just maintain this position, this is already a problem for him. You can move those back siege tanks forward in line with the front ones, but most importantly, focus on your macro. And remember, we've already scouted the base on the bottom, so once we get another army together, we macro a little bit more, we can go and rotate to that bottom army, that bottom base on the south side. And yeah, you can even do a split push where like tanks stay in the middle, other tanks push the bottom, but just keep up your macro. Get a planetary on the north, and just keep spending your money in between it, and you should be good. So this is psychopathic, leaving his only Marines that were with this army away, because a drop could kill that, but I'll accept it. It's okay. So he's just, he's forgotten about this force. There we go. This not being a planetary is absolutely bonkers by Melty. Oh, very nice. This is really good for him. I don't like that drop position. If it was on the back of the natural, it'd be better, I think. Yeah, or just there. But he gets that base, he creates another problem over here, right? And if he can just move those siege tanks there, then I'll have an even bigger boner. He's gonna rotate these guys, which is okay. Let me guess, he's changed his rally point. It's not too far out. For you, Triple, I'm gonna say that's a conservative rally point. There's like one guy who's obsessed with rallying his units to the other side of the map. It's you, Triple. And this attack here is so expendable, right? Like, it doesn't even matter if this gets cleaned up. He happens to be rotating his whole army here, which, it's okay. It's the fact that he's moving his army around to like finish these games, which is so good. And that's such huge progress. My man, GG, well played. Some beautiful methodical rotating of the army there. You know, there was that moment where you started getting a little bit focused on the frontal fight. Where you're like, I really want to get a little bit closer to him.
Yeah.
But it's good because it's such nice training, because we saw like the moment you just kind of like, I'm just gonna sit back, and there's like that moment, right, where he like tried to come forward with those Vikings, and then like his Marines got aggroed in when the Vikings started taking damage, and like he started like just kind of bleeding units into your siege tanks in the middle, and then just that little reinforced 2 siege tanks and like 15 Marines. It found the damage on the south. Now, obviously, he didn't have a planetary, but even if he had a planetary, you would have just sieged those 2 tanks in range of it, and you would have created another huge problem for him, right? And that would have been amazing. And that's what this is all about. It's about creating problems, because that opens up opportunity. And the thing is, once you got to that 4-base stage, that army on the south was totally expendable, right?
Right.
It doesn't really need to do that much damage, but you got his 4th, and then you like cleared out his 3rd as well. It was like, oh, fuck yeah, you know, this is beautiful. So you kind of create a problem, and you prong out from that. The drop that went to his natural, you know, you picked up your only Marines in the middle of the map with your siege tanks and went to his natural while you were sending that army to the south. This was a one thing, you didn't queue that up. So this is one of those things you should have just gone, and remember, we're talking about this in TvP, where you often like, you do these really sloppy queues, and then you come back to it like 10 seconds later and correct it. And it's one of your APM sync habits. It's one of these small things across all your matchups, which I'm constantly going to bring up, because I think over time I'm going to program you to notice that and be like, hey, why didn't I just queue that to drop in the back of his natural? Because that medevac and 4 Marines is not worth your APM and your attention. And what it ended up doing was then queuing to drop in front of the natural, and then you kind of looking at it again and going, oh, those units are kind of dropping on top of his rally. Let's kind of stim and try to move up towards the refinery to like get the SCVs and actually do damage. And these were all good things, and to the untrained eye, it's like, this is all just like, well, yeah, we're making sure that drop does some damage. But it could have been achieved by, in the first place, just saying drop, Q, move there, drop in the back of the natural. And it would have done the exact same thing, even better, with you looking at it never, like once. Like you might maybe even could have used the mini-map, as opposed to you looking at 3 or maybe 4
like
times.
the missile turret.
Yeah, and even if you dropped on the missile turret, I don't think it would have been that bad, because you're going to get like 5-6 Marines out, right? Maybe even just 4. And that's really all you need to do there, because a medevac is not worth anything at this stage of the game. Like, it's much more about just creating problems in APM. Like, all that really matters at that stage is the big frontal siege tank army. Even this like 20 Marines and 2 siege tanks on the south, like I said, it doesn't really matter if that dies. It's just about like, if you keep creating problems and putting most of your focus on just macro and your main army doing the correct thing and not exposing itself to just running into siege tanks, like you will win out. But just in general, like even if you're a bit worried about that missile turret, just like make sure you're a little bit careful when you queue it up. Make sure it drops behind the gases on the very edge or something like that. But it's just this habit in all matchups where I want you with your drops, your liberators, your counterattacks, to get used to trying to do, in the heat of battle, take a deep breath and just give all the orders at once, so you don't have to look back at it. Because what you're doing is you've got that intensity, which is amazing, and it's what you want as a StarCraft player, especially as a drop-focused Terran player. You're like, I'm going to fucking get in here. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to micromanage that and that and that. And that's great. But in these scenarios, you know, it's actually your main army that's so much more important. So if you can just say to yourself, you know what, take a deep breath, queue that up. I don't really need to look at it. I get bonus points if I look back at it later and I remember to stim those Marines and shift click some SCVs, but it's so unnecessary. The problem has already been created. And if I'm focusing on doing the correct things with my main army, guess what? There's 2 scenarios. Number 1, he pulls those SCVs, immediately stims his rally, cleans that up. You didn't do any damage except kill an SCV. 1 SCV. Was that worth the drop in 4 Marines? Well, yeah, it was, because the rest of your APM was on your main army and you sieged up his 4th. And gaining that position while he's distracted dealing with that is so fucking worth it. You know, it's so worth it, right? What's the alternative? He's focusing on the front. He blocks you from sieging up there. You siege in an annoying position, but you're not in range of the command center. Ah, that's a shame. Oh, he didn't pull the SCVs. He lost 10 SCVs. That was well fucking worth it. Like, it's kind of like, once you're in an aggressive position, as long as you don't tunnel vision on any one thing in TvT, it's always a win-win. Because the more problems you create, your opponent will simply not have enough APM to defend the drop and deal with your rotation at the front at the same time. So we're kind of putting it into a position where our opponent overloads. Like, you know when you're dropping a Zerg and they're owning you all game, and then you drop and you drop and you drop, and suddenly you just kill like 40 drones, and you can tell the Zerg's like overloaded in their brain. They're like, oh, there's too much going on. And like, you know, there's a liberator here, a drop here, a drop here. It's what your TvT is all about, that APM overload. It's about that point where your opponent just cannot do everything at once. So rather than overwhelming the front, we're just peeling off these little drops, these problems to be annoying, sending a section of our army to go siege up on a different angle. And then our main army just rotates, and eventually they're not going to be sieged in front of you. And you're going to be in a really good position. Lots of little things that can be improved today. You can be a little bit better with your marine map vision, be a bit more consistent with that. You could scan ahead of your pushes a little bit more consistently.
Right.
Sometimes you're doing it, sometimes you're not, with both of these. So these are something I've seen you getting so much better at over time, but it can still use a little bit more work. These are like lots of little things that you can improve. I've written up some homework for you. I want you to watch replays where you die to heavy cyclone pushes. In these scenarios, build a bunker, siege your tanks further back. So watch the replay and say, why are my tanks sieged out in the middle of nowhere? Well, you're doing that because you're worried about tank pushes, right? I can tell your siege tank positioning is like, well, if they go with a tank push, I've got like nice forward position. They can't really get in range with some tank Viking push. I buy a lot of time. Awesome. Really bad against a big heavy cyclone push. So you can ask yourself, oh, in this replay, I actually saw 6 cyclones. It just didn't register. My tanks should have been a little bit further back and I should have had a bunker in front of them. So if you die to heavy cyclone pushes, watch those replays. What about any TvT replay? Even if it's a win or a lose, well, try to watch the replays. Where are you over-focusing on micro? Where are you getting supply blocked and mismacroing during your pressure stages? And where can you simply do something like, oh, click on the reactor, shift-click home. Or you say, you know what, I think a cyclone's about to be back. Let's just pull back my cyclones. I've already killed an SCV and a Reaper or a Mule or something like that. Let's just back off. I'm not going to go for any more damage. And maybe I miss an opportunity, maybe I don't. So look for those in your games and say, you know what, in this scenario, I'm going to make a new rule. I'm not going to keep pressing up that ramp because if they're on time with their cyclones, like on this map or something, they're always out in time. You know, just look for those rules you can add into your play to be more consistent over aggressive. So consistency over aggression. I love your aggression. I'm not saying curtail it and stop being aggressive. I'm just saying if you have a constant supply block or something during an aggression, look for a moment where you say enough is enough. Remember, at this timing, they're going to get the response no matter what. So rather than fishing for a massive fuck up where they rally the cyclone on move command past your dudes and you kill it, let's pull back. And you know, because we're trying to get to that master's level of opponent. We're trying to get to that next level, right? So they're not going to make that mistake. So rather than fishing for these diamond mistakes, we're going to assume our players are playing at a master's level and kind of, you know, play to that. Finally, work on rotating and analyze that. You know?
Okay, yeah, definitely. I think that's like definitely my hardest problem is I'm like, yeah, as you said, the rotations aren't even, you know, they're not close to where they should be for sure. And then I like tunnel vision on a drop instead of the main army is definitely where I feel like I lose probably the most games then. In that later stage when I get to that point anyway.
Scan ahead. Keep the movement going. Siege up in range of a base. They will let it happen. Like, it's going to happen. You scan ahead. Sometimes you'll see just one siege tank there. You're like, oh, cool. We can actually stim on this. Kill that one siege tank. Most of the army's still at the 3rd. We've rotated to the 4th. You know, you're going to find these openings. It's about that swap, though. Low APM commitment to your drops. Queuing them up ahead of time. And then focusing on that. And that should be amazing. So, awesome sauce. I think we are good, man.
Yeah, I feel good about it now. I definitely know what to do.
That's great, dude. Yeah, awesome. So keep watching those replays and really focus on that. And I think you should be much more comfortable against that. Thanks to Melty for helping out, by the way. Let's
Sure.
Thanks so much, Melty. GG, well played, my dude. My dude.
Have
4th base planetary every game. I think that's a good tip for him.
Yeah.
So you were getting on those bases a little bit too easy. A little bit too easily. But otherwise, it was some very close games. GG, well played.
All right. I'll talk to you next time.
All right, man. Have a good day. Good night with your practice. And I'll catch you in Twitch chat, dude.
All right. Later.
Later, man.